In the inky depths of the Indo-Pacific, where sunlight fractured into shimmering shards on the coral reefs, lived Inky. He wasn't your average octopus. Inky possessed an unparalleled talent, a secret held close within the swirling patterns of his skin. He was a mimic extraordinaire. Unlike his kin who relied solely on mottled camouflage, Inky could contort his 8 arms, morph his body texture, and even alter his posture to transform into an entirely different creature. One day, a current carrying the scent of danger snaked its way through Inky's den. A shadow, vast and predatory, blotted out the dappled sunlight filtering through the water. It was Spike, the notorious moray eel, his single yellow eye glinting, with a hunger that sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest fish. Panic surged through Inky's pulsating heart. He wasn't the fastest swimmer, nor did he possess any venomous defenses. But then, instinct, honed by generations of survival, took over. In a blink of an eye, Inky stretched his body, his skin rippling, as it transformed into a dazzling array of yellow, orange, and black stripes. He flared his arms, mimicking the venomous fins of a lionfish. Spike screeched to a halt, his predatory instincts momentarily thwarted. Lionfish were a menace, their venomous spines a potent deterrent. With a flick of his powerful tail, Spike retreated, leaving Inky trembling in the aftermath of his daring impersonation. This wasn't the first time Inky's mimicry had saved him. He had become a master of deception, his repertoire ever expanding. He could transform into a flounder, flattening his body, and mimicking the sand-colored swirls to disappear from sight. He could even contort himself to resemble a banded sea snake. His sinuous movements and menacing posture, a convincing act that sent even the most curious fish scurrying away. Inky's talents weren't limited to self-preservation. He discovered a mischievous streak within himself. One sunny afternoon, he spotted Coral, a young clownfish with a perpetually worried expression, flitting nervously around her anemone home. Inky, seized by a sudden urge for amusement, puffed himself up and adopted the bulbous form of a pufferfish. Notorious for their ability to inflate themselves into prickly spheres, Coral shrieked and darted back into the safety of her anemone, her wide orange and white stripes flashing in momentary panic. Inky, overcome with a wave of exhilaration at his successful prank, let out a spurt of ink, a silent chuckle in the underwater world. But his amusement was short-lived. A new scent, metallic and acrid, reached his sensitive chemoreceptors. It was the unmistakable odor of blood. Following the trail, Inky found himself amidst the wreckage of a sunken ship. A small, shimmering fish, trapped in a net, its scales flashing silver in the dim light, struggled desperately. It was Luna, a moonbeam fish, a rare and gentle creature. A cruel net snagged on the jagged metal of the shipwreck held her captive. Inky knew he had to act. Luna was no match for the razor-sharp mesh. But the net was far too large for him to break through in his normal form. Thinking quickly, Inky stretched his body long and thin, mimicking the form of an eel. With surprising agility, he weaved through the gaps in the net, careful not to snag his own delicate skin. Reaching Luna, he used his sharp beak to snip at the netting, slowly, meticulously creating an opening. Luna, sensing her freedom nearing, darted through the hole as soon as it was big enough. She turned, her large, luminous eyes filled with gratitude, and with a flick of her tail, disappeared into the shimmering depths. Inky, despite the danger, couldn't help but puff out his chest in a small gesture of pride. He, the trickster, the prankster, had become a savior. Word of Inky's heroism trickled through the coral reef community, carried by the whispers of passing fish and the clicks and pops of communication. Soon, Inky wasn't just known for his playful mimicry, but also for his bravery. He became an unlikely legend, a creature who blurred the lines between predator and protector. One day, while basking in the dappled sunlight filtering through the kelp forest, Inky felt a tremor in the water. A school of fish, usually vibrant and carefree, darted past him in a frenzy of panic. A low guttural growl echoed through the water, sending chills down Inky's 8 arms. It was Brutus, a monstrous grouper, notorious for his insatiable appetite. The reef fell silent. Fear, a tangible presence, hung heavy in the water. Inky knew he had to do something. But what? He couldn't possibly mimic something larger and fiercer than Brutus. Then an idea, audacious and risky, sparked in his clever mind. Inky shot out of the kelp forest, propelling himself towards the approaching shadow of Brutus. As he neared the gargantuan grouper, he inflated his body, mimicking a giant pufferfish. But this wasn't just any pufferfish. Inky pushed his shapeshifting abilities to their limit, contorting his body and manipulating his skin texture to resemble a monstrous, inedible, bioluminescent monstrosity. Spikes, seemingly made of pure light, erupted from his body. He pulsed with an otherworldly glow, mimicking the bioluminescent lures of deep-sea predators that Brutus had never encountered. The effect was mesmerizing. Brutus, momentarily stunned and confused, hovered in the water, his enormous shadow wavering. Inky seized the opportunity. He puffed himself up even further, letting out a series of clicks and pops that mimicked the communication of deep-sea creatures known for their potent toxins. It was a desperate gamble, a bluff built on bioluminescence and borrowed sounds. The silence stretched agonizingly long. Then, to Inky's immense relief, Brutus flinched. The monstrous grouper, his initial hunger replaced by a flicker of fear, let out a low growl and lurched backwards. He turned, his enormous body churning the water, and with a final, menacing flick of his tail, disappeared into the depths. The reef erupted in a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and pops. Fish of all shapes and sizes emerged from their hiding places, their scales shimmering in the sunlight. Inky, his body deflating with exhaustion, was surrounded by a throng of grateful creatures. Coral, the once timid clownfish, darted forward and nuzzled him with her orange and white stripes. Even Sheldon, the grumpy hermit crab, emerged from his shell, his single claw clicking rapidly in a gesture of respect. Inky, the master of disguise, had become the unlikely hero of the reef. His bravery, fueled by a spark of mischief and a deep sense of justice, had saved them all. From that day forward, Inky was no longer just a trickster. He was Inky the Valiant, a symbol of courage and resilience, a testament to the fact that even the smallest creature could make a difference. His legend continued to grow, passed down through generations of reef dwellers. He became a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the face of immense danger, a little ingenuity and a dash of daring could turn the tide. And so, Inky, the mimic octopus, continued his life in the vibrant world of the coral reef, forever a master of disguise, a protector of the vulnerable, and a legend whispered on the currents of the sea.